Quiet down, Mama sizzles, the way the moon bears light from a source its beauty reflects. Sorrow unseen in honeysuckle and wildwood flowers high on a mountain. Good evening, everyone. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for coming out. And Jeff, thank you so much for having me here at The Stanza. I'm excited to be here. I am a poet of Appalachian extraction. I like to say I have Appalachian on both sides of my family. And a number of my poems are inspired by that part of my background. And the first couple of poems I'll read are inspired by my Appalachian family. This first poem is called My Daddy Was an Appalachian Folk Song. My daddy was an Appalachian folk song, a harmonica-breathing picker of tunes, wayfaring stranger, foot-stomping pilgrim of sorrow unseen, in honeysuckle and wildwood flowers high on a mountain his daddy and his daddy and his knew by heart. Sunday mornings he sings off key and so loud the brethren in front look back over their shoulders and smile at us that smile of sweet charity. Quiet down, Mama sizzles, and he swallows the song deep into his belly till the organ stops playing and the choir stops singing and the afterglow of stars and our crowns lingers in the circle unbroken. And the stories those songs tell, the one about the carpenter's wife who left him and her baby and ran off with a man who said he'd buy her more than biscuits and grease gravy. When the song ends, she's crying. I expect she still is. Learned the words from Daddy with his wompy-jawed tune, and I wonder now what happened to that baby. Did he grow up and build houses like his pa? Did she fail to thrive? On the overnight shift, the police scanner wails of a body in a dumpster, and Daddy sent out reporter's notebook cornering through a hole in his pocket to get the story. Heat hovers like a fiddle's dying note as he looks over the edge, steps away, loses his stomach. You'd think the baby was sleeping, he tells Mama later, except for those blue lips. And all the world's dirges bury fire in his gut, round his shoulders into a weary refrain. Time comes years later and Daddy moves on to the by and by, the baby's ballad stuck in his throat, the rhythm of her name unsung, not once lined out at a summer evening hymn sing, never whispered to shape notes washing like Jordan over the pews. Some tunes, they say, are just too hard to carry. Here's another Appalachian poem. And this one, actually, it's inspired by family lore, but as part of that family lore, it's inspired also by a photograph. The photographer, now famous photographer Doris Ullman, spent some time in the 1930s taking photographs all around the United States, including photographs of people in Appalachia. And while she was doing that bit of her work, she went to Berea, Kentucky, which is where at the time one line of my mother's side of the family was living. My great-grandmother was still living in Berea, Kentucky at the time. And Doris Ullman took a whole series of photographs of my grandmother weaving or caning a corn shuck chair, sort of twisting dried corn shucks into what would become the seat of a chair. And it's a little bit crazy in this sort of online, this digital world we live in. These photographs of my great grandmother, whom I never met, I can find them online. I can Google them and find them online and see my great grandmother. One of these photographs is sort of a close-up of her hands, which when I saw the photograph, when my mother showed me this photograph, I could immediately see that my great grandmother's hands were my mother's hands. My mother got her grandmother's hands. So I love that kind of spiraling through the generations kind of idea. So all of that family lore and those photographs inspired this poem, which is called Hands. Her hands curve soft as a wooden spoon. The wrinkles at her wrists are growth rings etched into flesh like furrows in the field beneath the hills that watch the children she bore, the way the moon bears light from a source its beauty reflects. Before the dawn of each new life, she climbed to the attic, wet crescents under her eyes, and wordless brought down the chest of layettes and tiny cloaks and trousers she had packed away when the child she thought would be her last outgrew them. She was full of stories she could not tell. Light powders her sun-speckled hands as she twists corn shucks, blonde and crackling, into ropes for the chair where my grandfather, then my mother, breathed the words and silences that made us, the lore of reaping just enough to see another day, of the ones who died in birth or war, and the ones who ran away, their lives left lingering in the coils of time. I am full of stories I cannot tell, but my bones hum like a harrow hitting rock, melodies mingling in the half-light of someone else's memories. My hands twist the strands of each day's tunes into tomorrow's song. These hands hold that song. These hands let it go.